Defund and deport. Those are two things President Trump say may happen to his former ally, Elon Musk, after Musk, the richest person in the world, threatened to fund primary campaigns against any member of Congress who votes for Trump's so-called big, beautiful bill.
I don't know. I think we'll have to take a look. We might have to put Doge on Elon. Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible? He gets a lot of subsidies.
Trump referring to the billions in federal contracts that benefit Musk's companies. Out front now, Katie Drummond, global editorial director at Wired, and Ryan Mack, a New York Times reporter who covers Musk extensively. He also co-wrote the book Character Limit: How Elon Musk Destroyed Twitter. And Ryan, Musk posted on X, "So tempting to escalate this, so tempting, but I will refrain for now." What do you think? Is he going to escalate?
You know, Elon has Twitter fingers, or X fingers now, and he tends to kind of say whatever he wants. So even though he's talking about restraint and refraining from speaking out, I think in time, he'll probably lash out again. He'll probably tweet. He'll probably say something that's going to anger the president. And, we've gone through this cycle multiple times now. This is only the latest iteration. So, I think we're going to see more for sure.
Katie, who needs who more here? Does Musk need the federal government more, or does the federal government need Musk more?
Well, look, as much as Elon Musk might hate to hear this, his companies, namely SpaceX and Tesla, rely on the largesse of the federal government, on contracts, on subsidies, on tax credits, not to mention federal regulation, right? When we're talking about Tesla and its ability to roll out, autonomous vehicles in different cities, Elon Musk relies on how regulators decide to treat, autonomous vehicles moving forward for that company and that initiative to be able to expand. So there's no question here that when it comes to the richest man in the world or the president of the United States, the president of the United States has a leg up here. He has the leverage.
Yeah, and Ryan, to be clear, though, SpaceX is the primary ride to the International Space Station. Starlink is critical to the U.S. military and the U.S. government. Usually when you have mutually assured destruction, it stops people from walking up to the line, but these two personalities can't really seem to help it go there. Does Musk see the logic or the lack of logic in thumbing his nose at someone who can affect the contracts and subsidies of his companies and has the upper hand, as Katie explains there, or is he motivated just more by emotion?
I think emotion plays a large part in it for sure. I think people have talked to him about the logic of, going against the most powerful person in the world and going head to head with him. At the same time, I do agree with Katie. I think Trump does have most of the cards here, but Elon does have cards as well. He understands that the U.S. government relies on SpaceX to get things into space. $3.8 billion worth of contracts last year alone with NASA. Tesla is a major manufacturer of electric vehicles and employer in the United States as well. So he has cards there that he's willing to play and put forth and challenge Trump. And I think it's going to be a matter of who blinks first.
Katie, if you look at Donald Trump as a businessman before he was president, as the president, he's a spender. He's very comfortable with buying things on credit. Did Musk get snowed into thinking that this was a person who was serious about tackling deficit spending when all the data points, a lot of the data points show the opposite?
It's not totally clear. According to President Trump, he's been very clear with Musk this entire time about his intentions, particularly his intentions around electric vehicles and EV subsidies. It certainly seems like Elon Musk got into bed, so to speak, with the wrong person. And whatever understanding they may have had several months ago obviously has not worked out in his favor.
Ryan, do you think that Musk will do this primary scheme?
It'd be a lot of people to primary for sure. The whole Republican Party essentially. So, he talks a big game. He's talked about fighting Mark Zuckerberg in a cage once and never followed through. He's talked about but he's also at the same time talked about buying Twitter, which he did follow through with. And so I think with him, it's a matter of trying to assess what's real and what's not. And as reporters, we just got to keep following and understanding what he says and reporting it out.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your analysis and your reporting. Katie Drummond, Ryan Mack, we appreciate it.
We might have to put Doge on Elon. You know what Doge is? Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible? He gets a lot of subsidies.
The monster that ate Elon. That was President Trump this morning talking about his renewed feud with billionaire and former First Buddy Elon Musk, whose companies get at least $38 billion in federal subsidies, according to a Washington Post analysis. The president also suggested he could deport the South African tech CEO after Musk supercharged his criticism of Trump's domestic policy megabill. Musk replied on his platform X, quote, "So tempting to escalate this, so tempting, but I will refrain for now." Mr. Restraint, Elon Musk, that's how he's known. Joining us now, CNN's Vanessa Yurkevich and Hadass Golden. Hadass, this Trump-Musk truce did not even last a month, and now Musk is threatening again to form a new party and campaign against Republicans who voted yes on the legislation.
Yeah, and also I should note about the threat to deport Elon Musk. He is a U.S. citizen. I will make that clear. He was a naturalized citizen in the early 2000s. But yeah, these are some of the most concrete political threats we have heard from Elon Musk about what he plans to do going forward, because there was a big cloud of questioning after this dust up with President Trump. What will Elon Musk do in the midterms? And now we know. He says that he's going to support the primary challenge of any member of Congress who has talked about cutting government spending but voted for this bill. He put up a poster that looked like a Pinocchio in flames saying that your face is going to be on this poster in your primary challenges, and I'm going to support them. He's thrown his support behind Congressman Massey, of course, who voted against this bill. President Trump said today Massey is going to be history, but Elon Musk confirmed today on X that he has donated to Massey's campaign. And then he talked about creating this new political party, the America Party, saying that if this insane spending bill passes, the America Party will be formed the next day. Lots of conversations we can have about how difficult it is to create a new political party, but Elon Musk is still saying that this is not about the EV, the electric vehicle mandates, or about the federal subsidies. In fact, he posted on X saying, in response to a post about Donald Trump's Truth Social post on this, saying, "I am literally saying, cut it all now." He is saying this is all about the debt. He's saying this is all about the spending. And he is also saying that, once again, this bill, he says, makes a mockery of the work Doge said. And he even said, how are we supposed to get to Mars if America is going to go bankrupt? But I can tell you, Jake, investors in Tesla, one of his most important companies, they're not very happy. Tesla stock was down today. They want Elon Musk to go back, focusing on things like robo-taxis and his rockets to Mars.
And Vanessa, Trump's mad at someone else. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. Yesterday, Trump wrote Powell a handwritten letter urging him to substantially cut interest rates. How is Powell responding?
Well, Jerome Powell at the Central Banking Forum earlier today was asked point blank, is President Donald Trump, with his harsh public comments, making it more difficult for you to do your job? And he answered by saying, quote, "I'm very focused on just doing my job." So brushing off the president's comments, which include, as you mentioned, that letter that you're seeing on screen there, a handwritten letter to Jerome Powell on what is a sheet of paper that contains other central banks' interest rates. He notes on that letter there that there are 34 countries that have interest rates lower than the United States. He goes on to say that Jerome Powell is costing the United States billions of dollars and suggests setting rates at 1%. Currently, interest rates are more than 4 times that. But Jerome Powell was also asked about why the Federal Reserve has not cut rates this year and what is the correlation with the trade war. Listen to what he said.
Chair, would the Fed have cut more by now if it weren't for the tariffs?
So I think that's right. In effect, we went on hold when we saw the size of the tariffs and essentially all inflation forecasts for the United States went up materially as a consequence of the tariffs. So we didn't overreact. In fact, we didn't react at all. We're simply taking some time.
And that time that the Federal Reserve is taking is this wait and see mode, waiting to see if the tariffs, in fact, do show up in the economy. Jerome Powell went on to say he does expect inflation to rise. He is not saying whether or not we are going to see a rate cut later this month. After that, there are 3 more opportunities for the Federal Reserve to cut rates. Jerome Powell, in that same event earlier today, Jake, did say that he does expect by the end of the year, that is when we will start to see some interest rate cuts, but likely not before that, Jake.
All right.